All right, we're live. Joe, what's up, man? We back with another episode, and we went back live today on LinkedIn. So I'm very excited to bring back to our audience season 2 of Evolution of Engagement. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. We had a little hiatus there, I'd say. We decided to kind of reroute it and do a pre-recorded version, and now we're back live, and I like it. It's been busy. It's been busy, Marcus. I have a feeling you and I both have had a lot of things going on. But I love that. So how about you? What's happening? So you obviously been pretty busy too. I can tell, through our own social media following. So
Yeah, man, I've been super busy. Finally coming up from air, took a short vacation. Was working on my fourth McDonald's All-American games that took place in New York, where we brought out Glorilla. We had Jalen Rose. It was really great to see the impact in New York City. So I guess that's why I'm wearing my New York hat today to represent. But yeah, it's really special to have the ability to host events or do an experience inside of your hometown or a town that you lived in for a while. It always seems a little bit more special. So I call Brooklyn my second home as I stayed there for 6 years. So being able to do the McDonald's All-American there was amazing.
I saw a lot of content going around that whole thing. So I mean, to see, I've been a supporter of obviously your activations and things you
Yep.
do, regardless of just the industry itself. But then I've gone and seen like the McDonald's activation at Art Basel, and I'm seeing all these things, and I'm like, wow, this is really cool. So you guys crush it, and kudos to you and the team and everyone. So
Yes.
that's amazing. I honestly, I think how fast paced this industry is, you almost see things and then it goes right to the next.
Yeah.
And I'd argue that anyone, whether hopefully people are tuning in, listening, or just people who just end up, knowing you and I, they would say that sometimes it's so hard to just take a moment and take a beat and just go, oh my God, let me relish in this thing that we just did instead of moving on right to the next thing. So it's
Yeah.
hard though.
Yeah, I mean, that's the purpose of evolution of engagement is being able to kind of reflect on those things that we've seen in the industry in the last, whatever, 2 or 3 months, bring that back to the forefront for everyone to check out or hear about again, and then give our take on that.
Right.
So shout out to the people that are joining today. As you join, drop in the comments what city you're watching from. We always like to just showcase the audience from that are participating. But this is a live show, so you're going to see that engagement in the comments section, and we definitely pull the information and we drop a question of the day. Which, Joe, we got to come up with a question of the day. We got to
I'll,
make sure we have
I'll
those.
improv it. I had something that I wanted to ask you, so we can
We bring
get
that to
to
the
the
people.
broader
And
folks. Yeah.
yeah, and again, to those, if this is your first time, my name is Marcus Gilmore, a vet in the game, 10 years, worked across the experiential industry as well as talent partnerships. And then to my right or to your left, my guy Joe Rivers here as well. So Joe, introduce yourself and then we'll
Yeah.
get
Yeah. I don't ever know if I want to coin the term experiential enthusiast, even though I did just kind of publish that website. And
why
uh,
not?
but I like it. I like it because I will say the industry is something I've always been passionate about. And from my experience, I've done it in unorthodox ways, whether it was brand ambassador, tour manager, biz dev, or just kind of strategy focused and from a consulting point of view. And so I just love talking to the game, and you know how it is, like the agency world to the brand world, they mesh so well together within this industry. And something I've been noticing quite a bit too is experiential, like the term, even though it's kind of being overused, if I'll be honest with you. But I think experiential has like this there's a pillar to it that holds up the foundation of like marketing and advertising, right? Like there's digital, there's social, there's traditional, there's all these avenues, guerrilla, but for some reason, if you really take a second and dissect the experiential component, it it bleeds into every one of those. It bleeds into all of them, like how that actually made you feel and what the experience was. So that's been my love for it.
I love that. And with the evolution of engagement, like we today we'll talk about just the how it's transformed and continues to transform every month, every quarter. And those who are tuning in, again, this is a place for people that work across the industry. So if you work at the agency or you work on the brand side, creative, brand ambassador vendors who do 3D design or build, like this place is for you because all the conversations, we all touch each department of these type of projects, but also it's a place for you to network. So if you see someone in the comments or you see someone attending, say what's up, because that's what this is all about. It's definitely community at the heart of it. So yeah, Joe, I think last month, we're in the month of April, so March was South by Southwest. We're not going to skip over that. Okay, give us the high notes of South by Southwest and what some of the experiences and things that you got to have there, and just share that with the people.
Yeah, well, Austin certainly, obviously the home of South by. What's funny is South by is obviously evolving in its own way.
Yes.
And I mean that in twofold. One being, look at how they popped up, and now there's going to be multiple cities that are doing South by Southwest. One is already being done in Australia, and then their inaugurated version of it in London coming up in June. So like South by Southwest is evolving, right?
Yeah.
And then the actual event that the homage to Austin, Texas, the original, I'd say it's evolving too. I mean, I made a post on LinkedIn about it and I thought it was fascinating. A lot of people share the same reaction because all I really was kind of portraying South by as is it's in that evolutionary phase of itself.
Yeah.
It's neither good or bad that it's changing. It's just evolving. And that's the point, like when people look at Austin, you got a lot of folks who have been there for a long period of time and they go, oh man, it's changed completely. Well, that's the point. The city is going to change through growth and everything. And so I say the same thing about the actual event of South by. It has evolved and changed since the early days of it. I mean, anyone can tell you that. And then even a decade ago, some of the biggest experiential activations and grandiose moments happened through the 2010s versus just now, and like this year alone, you saw that brands and a lot of activations or maybe just like these immersive environments were more so one day event or something that was more of like an invite only type of experience, like Spotify had a one day only thing. And then there was a party at night that you like had to get invited to essentially, which is quite reminiscent of how they show up at Cannes, but it's mostly on display at Cannes. So you know how that goes, but like there's that element. And then on the other end, brands show up and there's a lot of folks who love going to it. Like FX Networks had a great activation, smaller scale, but intimate and also like curated, you went through and there was like a theatrical element to it. So I would say that that's where the industry is evolving. It makes me feel not bad or anything about South by, but I think it's going to have like this resurgence, especially because over the next 4 or 5 years, the convention center's being torn down. They're building a state-of-the-art massive convention center in place of it. But for the next 4 or 5 years, what is it going to look like? And so I'm really intrigued by it. I think brands can really capitalize on that moment. I think a lot of just companies are going to say, wow, well, Austin's obviously still growing. It's still huge. You mentioned, I mean, it's already almost May at this point, but like March had a couple other events going on in Austin. There was the MotoGP event over at the Circuit of Americas. That was really cool. Tons of brands show up there. Red Bull had a great activation. And then there was another event called the GACEP, which is all about experience and innovation centers. And they usually go to different cities. And they chose Austin this year for their spring conference. Really cool. It was amazing to see like it just come alive. So honestly, it's a busy time in Austin. Obviously, it always has been now, and South by's kind of changing along with it, which I like. So,
What was the name of the last one you said? GA?
That's called GACP. So it used to be called ABPM, and that's like more about like executive briefing centers. But it's a rather I've only attended it once, and it was a really cool event because to have a tour of a facility that is like an experience center. I mean, these tech companies have them all over the world. Microsoft, Indeed, HP, IBM, but they have these experience centers that are also part of their office. And you get to like, you just see the intricacies of like what an immersive environment can look like. And yeah, it's different, but it's cool.
I love that. So I think from March, we transitioned to April. And April, we kicked off, I think so far this month, you've had the WNBA draft as well as Coachella. and Coachella's been kind of everywhere from a content perspective, and also Dreamville Fest, which is J. Cole's festival, was also a place where you saw not only the artists kind of show up, but as well as some brands here as well. Did you see anything on Coachella so far, or are you kind of?
I mean, so I have a close friend. She's works for on the experiential team for Bloom Nutrition. Her name's Kim True. I think you may have
Oh yeah,
met
I
her.
know Kim. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So she went out there and she was telling me how, for her first time, it was vast. It was, quite large when you really think about like the actual festival grounds and just all
Yep.
the activations. I've never attended, but every year, to your point, there is so many recaps, so many people that are talking about it.
Mhm.
Like the Pinterest thing is all over. You know what I mean? Like that.
Yeah.
That's just been, and it's beautiful. It was actually one of the more immersive environments, from what I've been told. The Coca-Cola one, I mean, I've seen these images of Coca-Cola and they look like renders, but it was actually real. And I'm like, I love that. I love that.
I love when the renders always turn out to look how they
Yeah,
are in person. And you know what's crazy is I tell a lot of students or people that are coming up in the industry how 3D design and being able to you may be an artsy kid from the jump, like young and just love to draw. And what's crazy is that you could take that and turn that into a career where you are doing designs for events and you're what you draw and what you build from doing CAD designs and being able to create those, develop those spaces, and being able to give that to a marketing team and they go out and build that is insane. And it's like, yeah, you may feel like you may get picked on. There's kids that get picked on for drawing, but then it's like, yo, you can turn that into
oh
a
my God.
six-figure career just being able to do that.
Yeah, the creative output that it takes, and it's funny. I think people have a mindset, to your point, of like when you go and do like a career like that. Think about it. You get to go from the mind of your own
Mhm.
and create it, and then outside you get to see it come to life, like literally. It's not just let's say you're doing a storyboard for a movie or something like that. That's different, and then you do something like an experiential or an event. I mean, you're literally creating us maybe this, let's say, this pop-up, and then it's actually this structure that's real. It's like architectural and engineering, but
Yeah.
not. So
Yeah, and I think like, as you look at Coachella, and there was something I did a LinkedIn post that recently, what I call is seen all over the internet. But it was about how IKEA, which is a well-known store for those who are always looking for furniture, especially more the Gen Alpha, Gen Z generation. Um, they go there to shop because it's a space that's kind of they could see it and then bring it to life. And basically, the concept was that IKEA would create Coachella or camp-esque rooms or spaces that they would put inside of their stores. And when people get ready to go to Coachella, they would just go shop
right.
those designs. And like again, when you think about just that idea at its core, someone has to create that. Like that is a real experience. And I always tell people like, don't be afraid to put your idea out there and like your concepts because they really can come to life. And that's the evolution of engagement, being able to come up with the concept, put it out, and a brand will pick it up. And you never know what that could turn into.
I tell people all the time, for the last, since 2023, I think it was, IKEA showing up at Art Basel was one of the most, I guess I'd almost say, like, un it was not one I anticipated, let's say it
Yeah.
like that. It was like one I was like, "Wait, why is IKEA here?" But then you go through the experience, and they're the first year, they took over, like, a retail space, if I'm not mistaken, and then last year in 2024, they had, a space, like, almost like an abandoned warehouse kinda thing in Wynwood, the art district, and each iteration had a different component to it. However, the feel inside of it was, like, almost to what you were saying, a Gen Z, Gen Alpha, almost millennial, like, people wanted to see what IKEA was doing, their products, and maybe the rooms that they created, and it all had a very beautiful aesthetic. And, I agree, that would be really interesting to see it go to Coachella for, like, the campgrounds and whatnot. And
Yeah.
you did go viral, man. So don't hate on it.
No, not at all. Again, as we thank you for everyone joining us here on a Friday, as we have our episode 2 of Evolution of Engagement, as we go into season 2, again, a place to talk about experiential on all levels, from creative to working with brand ambassadors to the development and architectural side of it, as well as just brand partnerships across the board. And Market is in the master's green. Yeah. Yes. Are they talking about my shirt?
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, the Masters is on right now, which is, have you ever been to a golf tournament?
I have been to the golf tournament in my hometown of Rochester, New York, Oak Hill Country Club, to bring my dad to like the thing. But it was cool. I mean, I got to say, I'm like, I get it. I get why people are. I mean, the following of the golf fan base is.
It's so cool.
I mean, it is crazy, honestly,
Yeah.
but it's fascinating.
So I know that coming up we have Miami F1, which I'm planning to go to.
Yeah.
And then later down the road we have Cannes. But before we get there, I think that as we talk about the evolution of engagement and how people are engaging with brands in the different ways, was something you brought up that was super interesting is like how brands are now transitioning from that one-day experience, a one-day pop-up or a two-day pop-up, to almost creating things that have a little bit more stake inside of the city that they go to.
Yeah.
We have the example of the Van Gogh experience that became a traveling experience that you can kind of see in a city for a longer period of time. But then there's also kind of the experiences that are being developed around theme parks or in those spaces. So let's talk about that. I think that
Yeah,
was
I mean, Marcus, I don't know what you've kind of like noticed in at least out there in the world. I've noticed how Meow Wolf, one of my favorite, real like installations, if you will, if that's a great way of putting it. They're opening up one in Brooklyn or not Brooklyn. They believe it's Seaport in Manhattan, and it's like that's going to be so fascinating to see this massive art installation slash immersive environment that started in Santa Fe, New Mexico, now has evolved over the course of just around the country, and now planting themselves in one of the busiest cities in the world. So
yeah.
it's this like thematic element that's been evolving over the course of many years. I mean, if we look at the origin of like theme parks, I mean, they're the originators of experiential, are they not? Like a Disney World or a Disneyland is like the originator. And now you fast forward all these years and there's pop-up installations, there's permanent installations, there's real estate that's just being based around these kind of experiences, like an Area 15 in Vegas, or even like the Grove in LA. There's like always like a pop-up going on or something. The other one that I've been kind of looking at just recently was how Universal came up with their Epic Universe kind of big thing, and I think it's being unveiled or debuting in May, and it's just a big theme park, but it's immersive, and I don't want to like just keep overbearing of that word, but it is going to be an immersive space. And I think that's really amazing to see the industry grow in that way.
Yeah, I think like when you think about the theme park or just kind of like these experiences where people in spaces, because they're not so much experiences, it's a space that it has like this continuous moment inside of them. People are paying for that. They want that. They want to be able to access something very fast versus waiting till a big event comes to their city and now that's the only way they get to do something that's out of the norm.
Do you think people will continue? I mean, it's definitely been an economic whirlwind these days, but I'd argue that even after the pandemic, there's a lot of people that are just always going to look at it as, well, this experience matters to me. This is how I create a memory. This is what's important to me, my family, my friends, just me individually. I think that type of stuff is going to be here to stay and will continue to evolve,
Yeah, I mean, individuals and families, they are, they're a little bit more selective on the things, right? Like, for example, this year or this summer, World Cup is, FIFA World Cup, I believe, is happening. So if it comes to your city, you you need to go outside, and you need to figure out a way to get there. If it's just going to the local bar, if it's going to the free community event, and if you have the ability to get into a game, you should be going, because it's one of those experiences that you just, it's different. Like being able to see these different teams from around the world come into your city and play. I live here in DC. There's a cup that's going to happen, I think, in July. I'm already looking at tickets, and I'm looking at whatever free event, because I want to learn about football culture from a lens of World Cup, and being able to take on that experience. So yeah, from an economic standpoint, like those things have impacted, but I think people still make choices on the things that they want to do.
I mean, look, you know me, I'm a Buffalo Bills fan, and I remember going out
You're
to,
who?
I'm a Buffalo Bills fan, you know that.
Okay.
So you already knew that. So, but going out to London to watch their game back in 2023, like to see that many people from a smaller, second, third tier city of a NFL fan base, and see how many like trekked out there for the game. It wasn't just for the game, man. Like that's what any true fan would tell you. It's like it was there because you wanted to support it. You wanted to go and be an advocate for this fan base, as well as just be part of that experience of going out there. So, the sports world does it, the theme park world does it. Those are both simultaneously or parallel growing like exponentially. And I'm seeing it with sports partnerships all over. Brand partners are doing it all over, or brands taking over stadiums, and it's like it's big.
I mean, I was talking to a creator here in the DC market. She has like her content, it picks up really well, and we were talking about just brand partnerships, and I told her, I said, a gem that I love to give away, but like, it's when you look at partnerships today, if you're an influencer or a creator, or you're someone who's an independent agency, and you're like, all right, what brand can we pitch? Everybody pitches Amazon. Everybody pitches so-and-so. Like they always pitch the big names. But if you walk into a Walmart, or you walk into a Sephora, and instead of picking the first 3 brands that you see as soon as you walk in, keep walking past and go a shelf down and pick that brand and be like, you know what, I'm going to hit them up to see if they're looking for creator partners, or if they want to be pitched for a festival. You got to change your approach to how you are looking for partnerships, because it's evolving. The sports space is evolving, the theme park space is evolving, and brands are looking for ways in. But if everybody's going after the same ones, like you'll never be. The money's still there. It's just disguised differently. Like
100%. Man. I gotta say, Marcus, I would love to ask you the question that will be the question of the day if you want it to be, but I'm more so intrigued. Oh, what's up?
Yeah. First off, shout out to everyone dropping the comments. Anway, Chris, I think I saw Bill in there, Elijah, Deja. I'm not sure how to say this person's name, but I'm gonna give it a shot. I'm gonna say Ano. I know. It's tough. Sorry, I'm from the South, and I like Gucci Man, so that doesn't help neither one of us right now. But the question says, I'm still in university, dream about a career in concept design for these type of brand experiences, events. What skills would you recommend me building? You want to take this one, or?
I think it's a joint effort, Marcus. I'm gonna give you one that I thought was kind of fascinating. An agency I know that's been hiring. What do they call it? It's like a design scientist, believe it or not. And it's an interesting title, but I think it's because that individual had more of a data background, as well as like not a science background, but an analytical, not in terms of just data, but analytical also in behavioral thinking. Yep. And I thought that was fascinating, because from a concept design, you have to think, okay, how is that person as a human is going to go through and either have any of these touch points or engagements? What emotions is it going to evoke? How is it going to make them feel? That all ties to concept design. So there's a lot of experiencing mapping and behavioral data that you have to kind of go through. And that's one aspect of it that I'd say.
I think that I was going to say outside of your hard skills of just being able to use the platform or whatever software. So I assume like CAD designs and things like that. But being able to use that, I think the ability, what you just said now is understand a human's behavior when you do concept design and you think about these concepts and you put things on paper. Having the ability to understand how a human would interact with that. I would also add that it's important to understand how to explain that to someone who has no clue of what you just put in front of me. The great thing about like myself at my agency, I serve on the account side as well. So I have the knowledge on account and production. I can sit in the room with the creatives as they 3D design and then pop over to the account and talk to the client. So, but you still need to be able to make sure everyone in the room can work through what you sharing here. And I think also something else is like as you concept design, you think about who are the other players you may want in the room. So if it's projection mapping or if it's other types of things that would add to your design, being able to have those same conversations and understand what they could contribute to your idea.
Yeah, I love that.
All right. Thank you for that question. Please, if anyone else has questions, drop them in the chat. But Joe, you said you got a question of the day?
Well, it's a question that I had originated. I wanted to ask you, and I know we didn't even get to touch on it on the pre call to this, but I'm very adamant on in person, right? We all are.
Yeah.
good way to preface the question. What cities are you seeing or have you felt are some of the most that are attracting the most in-person events? You know, what cities? I mean, I get it. Like people can say New York. I
Yeah.
get it.
New
People can
York.
say, LA. I understand it.
If you take New York, LA, Miami out the door, out of this conversation,
Sure.
let's start there. I would say that your cities, I think Dallas is definitely at the top, my hometown. And so that's not the reason I said it. Go Cowboys. But
Do you think Texas cities as a whole? I mean,
yeah,
I'd
I would say,
honestly, San Antonio, Austin, Dallas, I feel like they've been just hosting a lot of different events lately.
yeah, Austin, Dallas, Houston are your big cities that drive in different spaces, right? Like Austin is more tech focused. Dallas has like the sports and kind of the sports and more of what you call it, like
Well, I'd say they have like a lot of Fortune 500.
Fortune 5. I was gonna say the money, but
Yeah.
another city that is growing pretty fast is Nashville. I think Nashville and Charlotte are two tier 2 cities, what most people call them, but they also have that ability to host events. The conferences are starting to go there. That's a good sign. I think for those who are always like, all right, are things coming to my city? First off, you should be attending kind of like the community town halls to hear what is coming up in your city. And from there, you'll know, okay, there may be organizations coming in to do conferences, hosting their annual or regional conferences. And Nashville, Charlotte are being picked up as those cities that people are going to in-person events for. There's things to do in both those cities.
I asked that question. Thank you, Marcus. Like I asked that question, and certainly to the all the people that are attending or anyone who ever does tune in. I do just want to. I'm curious, like what cities are attracting the most in-person events, or even better, if you want to word it differently, what cities should be the ones that are utilizing experiential more. Like Vegas.
Vegas,
Vegas has been capitalizing on in-person and experiential now for several years. I mean, truly.
yeah, but I take Vegas out. They probably should have been in the same group with LA, Miami, New York. Like
True.
they're just it's so advanced in the technology that they have, especially Phoenix. I like that, Chris. He said Phoenix is one. The recent Super Bowls, which is true.
Yeah.
Championships. Definitely Phoenix is picking up as well. And I think they were a place for either a WNBA team or NBA team. So
You know what's another one that's people. I mean, we'll see what happens because this was
yeah,
news since the last one we did of these episodes. Sundance is now moving to Boulder, Colorado. So the Sundance Film Festival is no longer going to be in Park City, Utah. It's going to Boulder, starting. I think it's in 2027. It still has one more year in Sundance, but
hey man, the power of prime time.
I mean,
Us.
it's a moment of hey, because they sent out the proposal to different cities, and I believe it
Yeah,
was like between Boulder, Cincinnati, and like something else, and I forgot. But I would have given a lot of credit to Cincinnati because that's like, wow, what an interesting destination for something of that caliber. And
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, I'm just trying to keep that mindset alive of what cities are impacting our industry so much, but also attracting like people to go, that's where I want to do the next thing, you know?
yeah. Yeah, that's a great question. I think it's a moving target, and I think it's based on a lot of things that happen. But some of the cities that have been named, I think this the areas are groundbreaking, and they have the infrastructure to handle a lot of people coming into the city, if that's for festivals or conferences or pop ups or anything like that.
I,
Um,
I like the idea of doing it like adjacent to the big, metro areas. Like when I think of a Coachella, how it's in the middle of like the desert, or Burning Man in the middle of a desert, or some type of event. I get it. Like it's a music festival. They need that space, that you
yeah,
need kind of that acres of land. However, I really do think like that's fascinating when you start, Art Basel. Look at how many brands show up in Wynwood. I know it's still Miami, but like
yeah,
you're branching out from the typical space, and you're like, where where does that start evolving? So
yeah.
kind of interesting to see where some of those cities are using that period, or not that period, but that space between like an Austin, Dallas, San Antonio. There's just so much ample opportunity there too. So I don't know. It'll keep growing.
It's definitely going to keep growing. I think, like, again, there's people dropping some comments in here, but I think like we look at the cities as they grow, and your smallest, even Seattle, which would be a cool city to host something in. I know a couple of music festivals going there now. It's just development and people finding more value in these cities. I think the tough part is that some of these cities don't have as many event vendors. So when you get there, if there is like, let's take like if there's a big event in a Seattle, or and again, please no one come for me for this, but like if there's a big event in a Seattle or Charlotte, like do they have enough vendors to handle the demand of the brands that come there? If 40 brands come to a city and be like, yo, we need this
Yeah.
many labor hands, like that's gonna that's the test to see if a city can handle that. Like we already know New York can handle that, LA can handle that, and Miami, and they bring people in to make that happen. So I think that's something very unique about when these events come to cities. The vendors around that are in there, and the businesses, they have to one make sure they're registered. I advise those brand vendors who are minority owned to make sure you have your minority owned certificates, because that helps with a brand may be selecting you based on that. I know times have changed, but again, still register those kind of things. But yeah, being able to, can a city hold that, and can the businesses support what's about to come? That is a true testament to
It's
the
true.
impact.
That's
Yeah.
true. I love
Uh,
it. Cool.
so I know we're coming up in April. Can Lions is in June. I know we talked about it. You won't be joining me this year right now. I'm trying to, sprinkle in the air, figure out a way for you to be there. But
I'll be honest with you. I may actually be going out.
come on.
I may actually be going out to the Philippines just to chill. To be
Oh,
honest,
all right, I'll take that.
you know,
That's
like travel and experiences tend, they're obviously blend together. My travels sometimes trump like an event that is happening in the south of France. Both are great. Both are
yeah,
great. No.
yeah. What would you tell someone for their first time going to Cannes Lions, what is the first 2 tips you would say about planning your experience there? And we're gonna cut this piece up, gonna drop it later or drop it soon because we want people to get ready for Cannes Lions.
I think you've been to it a couple more times than I have,
Yeah,
correct?
yeah.
How many times have you gone to Cannes now?
3 years now.
3 years?
Yeah,
Okay. I've only been once,
okay,
and, as a first timer, I was overwhelmed.
yeah,
And I could say that about when I went to South by for the very first time, I was overwhelmed, right? The premise that's always kinda like the similar vibe that I'm always getting is, yes, be prepared, but be open to whatever kinda happens, right? So, like, if you're a
yeah,
first time attendee, I would say, you go to Cannes and just kinda, like, figure out, maybe get there a day earlier and just kind of figure out the landscape of like what it looks like, um and then walk around. It's not like it's crazy all over the city like in Austin with South
right.
by. It's just in
Well,
that confined space.
yeah, yeah,
So I would say that, and then from like, if you're activating there, if you're even a vendor, just someone who's kind of doing some business development, certainly look at like, what brands are you focused on, and then also what spaces do you think are going to have the best foot traffic. Reddit, that I don't know if they did it last year, I didn't go, but the year prior, I remember Reddit being just like right there. I don't know if they were allowed to be there or something like that. I thought I heard, but they were like right there.
yeah, they're right there.
And
They're
it
on the
was
corner.
it was a great space. I mean, people obviously are going to have to walk by it. So I don't know. I mean, I feel like you might have a little bit more knowledge on
I
on.
I mean, I think you said the first thing is definitely overwhelming. It's every year it's overwhelming for me. I've learned to kind of take it easy going day one. I just kind of like, say what's up to a few people here and there. And the beach that I work with is Inkwell Beach, and it's located on the Crozet. I think that's how you call it, the Crozet. And and we have a beach, and so I'm usually there majority of the time capturing content and working with the overall stage experience. But as you go throughout the week, like that's when I kind of pick it up a little bit more. But starting this month, I register for everything.
Oh
I
yeah,
I need
yeah.
a pass for Sport Beach. I need a pass for Meta. I just register as much because the closer you get, those links start to shut down. So I start registering right now. And also, rule of thumb: use your work email. Do not use your personal email, especially if it's with brands that kind of sift through. They be kicking some of those emails out. A lot of Gmails.
Oh
Is
yeah, you got
yeah,
to But I would say also with Can, be cognizant of, it's the south of France, right? People get all kind of, oh my God, let me sip rosé and chill like over at the Carlton Hotel. And while that's great, if you want to do that, I don't fault you for it.
yeah,
Realize that like some of the areas like just nearby, are great places to kind of plant yourself.
yep,
You
yep.
might never know who you're really going to interact with. Um,
That
because
that's a Joe, that's a gem right there because that is true. You go 2 or 3 streets back, you just never know who
yeah,
has, like, left that area and gonna have lunch, and they've been sitting there since 4 o'clock, and you may
I
be
I recommend trying to sign up for, if there's any brands or any companies that are doing some type of villa experience, I recommend it because I went to the MasterCard one. I got to meet Gary Vaynerchuk. I got to like interact with the whole MasterCard team. And it wasn't even from like the point of view of just like, what does that mean for a business point of view, but wow, the amount of people that there was, and it wasn't a large amount. It was like just like the right
the
amount,
right amount.
and it was also like the individuals that were there were the right people that you want to talk to and stuff. So
Yep,
I love that. And who doesn't also love going off the beaten path to like a villa
yes.
in France?
That those are some of my favorite ones, is the ones that are not. Of course, I love everything down the Crescent, but at the same time, again, I think the rule is plan your schedule to have those things, but be flexible to say, okay, tonight I'm gonna go to the event that's kind of like 10 minutes away, and I'm gonna just go. And
Right.
then you can always come back and go to the Carlton. Everybody hangs out there after late at night or whatever. I go to bed. Okay. I'm in the bed. I'm in the
I
bed.
remember I remember you saying you were like, yeah, I go to. I mean,
I go to
you and I
bed.
you and I didn't actually even link up, I think, until day 4 or 5.
Yeah.
We went over the LinkedIn
Yes.
rooftop, but I think you had a great point. Like, settle in,
Yes.
don't go hard the first day. I'd say that about any of them, though. You
Yes.
want to go to a B2B event like CES. You don't want to like just go through all of your energy on day one. You want to like sprinkle it out. Same
Gotta
thing with
sit.
a Coachella, same thing with a can, all of them. So
And I would also say when you pack, of course, sunscreen, but leave a little room in your bag because you're going to get so many like things. Now, not to because this is a space for everyone, but what is a giveaway that you like, yo, I don't need no more of these giveaways? Is it what
if you're asking me, or are you being rhetorical right now?
I'm asking you? I'm asking you.
Marcus, I've been doing it for too long now with like, especially my old brand ambassador days and tour managing, like
Yeah,
the amount of trinkets and tote bags and
tote bags, man.
pins and pens and stickers and all these shirts. I'm like, I don't care about any of it anymore.
I
So
don't. I last year I didn't take home anything. I think I took home like one TikTok, like the thing that go on the back of your phone to like make it stick. That was the only thing I brought back, and yeah, that was the only thing I brought back. But
so let me ask you then the question to that question. What would mean something to you? Because I'm honestly going to say, unless you're someone that's not in our industry, and even then, I think some people, the younger generation, certainly are like, what the heck is this? Like, I went to an event in Austin, and I'm going to go off on a tangent real quick. I went into an event in Austin that was during March, and it was called Coffee and Chill. And it was very much, Coffee and Chill was very much curated or pinpointed for the demographic of Gen Z,
yeah,
because it was on a Saturday morning, and it was all about, their whole premise of it was, our Saturday morning is your Friday night. And
mm,
look, I'm not sponsored for this Coffee and Chill event. I'm just highlighting at the fact that I went there
yeah,
because Bloom was there and other vendors were part of it. But it wasn't about giving away anything like trinket wise. It was, hey, you go there and there's cold plunges all around that you can. That's where the chill part comes in. Then there's a coffee vendor of like having actual pour overs or a matcha or something like that. And then the other vendors that were there were all about like health and wellness. So there was like a compression section where you like put on these compression boots and go
mm,
through like that whole experience. Basically, I'm saying the element of actually having like a giveaway, I think, should be the experience, so that what you're taking away is the emotion and memory.
yeah. That's the evolution of engagement. And I tell you right now, I think that the what you just described right now, if a brand was very like, and then they're starting to pick up. I expect this year at Cannes and even anything that is going to happen May beyond, that there will be morning activations or experiences prior to the day starting. Not your regular like yoga, let's stand out. No, they're going to be full on matchas because I'm a matcha guy now. I want matchas, I want cold brew, I want Pilates, but I want to be able to, and I don't need another one of these.
Right.
I don't need it. Now, I'll take a pair of shoes. Okay. I always take a pair of shoes.
I mean, look, the Reddit experience at Cannes, I remember they did what was it? Every day they had this announcement of what giveaway they were going to provide, and you had to be there. You had to be there at like noon on the day.
Yep.
And I did go one of the days. Oh no, I went twice. I went twice in a row. And I got a really nice cologne, and I got AirPods that I still use, like the newest version of AirPods.
Wow.
Only the first 10 people could get that product. But I mean, talk about that's worth it for me. I'll take the brand new version of AirPods, so
Yeah, every year at Cannes, I try to get to Pinterest space because the first year I went, they did like a shoe painting and I got a pair of Air Forces.
nice.
They do tattoos. And I always tell myself, because I already have tattoos. So I'm like, I always tell myself, hey, if I get to an experience and they have tattoos, I'm going to get one.
Yeah.
But the line is always long. And I said this for Rolling Loud too, and I never got in there. But this year, Pinterest people, holla at me. I'll be there early, okay, to get me a little South of France, I don't know, something to represent my experience. But no, you're totally right. I think like to sum that up is that when as you think about your experience at Cannes and those who are going, but any of these kind of like B2B or B2C experiences for brands, take your time, be flexible, and adjust, but then also take in these different experiences and understand and feel how they connect with you. I think that's the biggest
100%,
takeaway.
100%. I appreciate it, Marcus. I think this was great. I appreciate everyone for tuning in and joining, and for you and I to kind of do another live version, especially before the holiday weekend here. And
Yeah.
certainly is a great conversation, especially when it comes to what's going on in this industry. And again, the evolution, we use that word because it's changing. We got to change with it. We have to change with it too.
Change with it. You have to change with it and have to be okay with change and recognize the change. And don't be afraid to voice that in your meetings or in some of the people that you work with, but even to yourself. So yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in. Episode 2. If you see it on your timeline, make sure you share it, dropping clips all the time. But Joe, thank you so much.
Thank you, Marcus.
Peace.
Great talking, man.
Peace.
Bye.